You're listening to Historical Perspectives with Mr. Malt. Learn about life by looking at our history. Teachers, for more information about historical perspectives, search Mr. Malt's Marketplace on Teachers Pay Teachers or at mrmaltmarketplace.com. Happy learning!
Rosa Parks. Tiny moments and events can cause very big changes. Sometimes those changes happen a little at a time, like drops of water wearing down rock. Other times they happen suddenly, like a volcano eruption. But even then, the inside of the volcano was preparing for that sudden moment. Rosa Parks was an African-American activist who refused to give her seat to a white person on a bus in 1955. The impact seemed sudden, but she had been preparing for that moment. In 1955, the United States was still segregated. Black people had to stay apart or separate from white people. There were separate bathrooms, drinking fountains, schools, hospitals, and more. Buses also had separate sections at that time. A black person was supposed to give up their seat if a white person wanted it. A white man did want Rosa's seat, and she did not give it to him. But Rosa had been preparing, and she wasn't preparing alone. She grew up on a farm in Alabama and had experienced violent racism and abusive segregation. At 19, she married a man who was fighting for equality. He was a civil rights activist. Together, they joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. She started working for them as a secretary in 1943. These life and work experiences helped prepare her for that moment on the bus, but they also led her into leadership roles in the civil rights movement that followed. At 42 years old, she was riding a bus home from work. She was already sitting in what was labeled as the colored section near the back of the bus. When seats for white people filled up, the bus driver moved the colored section sign back, making the white section bigger. Rosa was told she had to move. She famously refused. Some reports said that she was too tired from her day at work to move. When she told the story, she said, "The only tired I was tired of giving in." Rosa Parks was arrested for her decision to stay seated. She went to jail and had to pay fines. Martin Luther King Jr. led a boycott of that bus company for what they did to Rosa. He asked black people to refuse to ride those buses so the bus company would lose a lot of money. It worked. But it took over a year, and it was hard. That movement was the Montgomery bus boycott. Meanwhile, Rosa and her husband lost their jobs, and their lives were threatened. The nation continued to struggle with racism and inequality as the civil rights movement marched forward. Rosa Parks is called the mother of the civil rights movement, and she worked for equal rights. She worked for those rights for her entire life. Her list of many awards can be found at rosaparksfacts.com. She died in 2005, but her work continues with every person still fighting against discrimination of all kinds. One famous quote that she said was, "I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free, so other people would also be free."
Thanks for listening to this Historical Perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. Also, search for Historical Perspectives on Teachers Pay Teachers to learn more about other topics, such as the Golden Gate Bridge, Henry Ford, schools in the early 1900s, and so much more. Happy learning!